New delegate from Georgia.
Ah, Andrew McNett, Congressional Custodian. If there's anything you'll be needing, just holler out McNair! Like you'll hear the others doing. There won't be long to wait.
Where's the Georgia delegation position?
Oh, you milled out over in that corner next to, 2 Carolinas.
And after 10. I was told the Congress convenes at 10.
Yeah, they'll be wandering in any time now with old Raping Guts leading the pack.
Old who?
McNair!
Raping Guts.
Fetch me a rope!
Mr. Hopkins, you'll be pleased to meet Dr. Lyman Hall.
I don't need a doctor, damn it.
New delegate from Georgia.
Well, why didn't you say so? Pleased to meet you. I'm Stephen Hopkins, old delegate from Rhode Island. There, 2 mugs of rum.
I see it's a little early in the day.
Nonsense. It's for medicinal purposes. I thought you'd know that, being a doctor and all. And speaking as the oldest man in Congress.
Ben Franklin's older by almost a year.
Rum! Tell me, Dr. Hall, where does Georgia stand on the question of independence?
With South Carolina, of course.
Well, good morning, Eddie. Meet Dr. Lyman Hall of Georgia, Edward Rutledge from whichever Carolina he says he's from. I can't keep him straight.
A pleasure, Dr. Hall.
No, sir.
Well, you met the long and short of it now. Nettie here's 26. He's the youngest of us.
Except for Ben Franklin.
Wrong! Where the hell did you go for it, man? Jamaica? I'll take it.
Dr. Hall, where does Georgia stand on independence at the present time?
I'm here without instruction, able to vote on my own personal reasons.
And they are?
Personal.
Dr. Hall, the South speaks with one voice. It is tradition. Even more, it is historic. Ah, and to Delaware, Tria Jubda in Bruno.
Speak plain, Rutledge. You know I can't follow none of your dumb fresh.
Land of Colonel McGee. A tribute to the eternal peace and harmony of the Delaware delegation.
What are you saying, Mon? You know perfectly well neither Rodney nor I can stand this little wart.
General, this is Dr. Lyman Hall of Georgia. Caesar Rodney, George Reed, and Colonel Thomas McKee.
So where do you stand on independence, sir?
In South Carolina, news.
I leave the doctor in your excellent company. General.
Well, tell me, sir, would you be a doctor of medicine or of theology?
Both, sir. Which one can be of service?
By all means, the physician first, then we'll see about the other.
I'll call it.
I trust Caesar. When you're through converting the poor fellow to independency, you'll give the opposition a fair crack at it.
You're too late, John. Once I get them, they're gone. Dr. Lyman Hall of Georgia, Mr. John Dickinson of Pennsylvania.
An honor, sir.
Your service, sir.
Tell me, Dr. Hall, where do you stand on the question of independence? Treason.
I have no stomach for it, sir.
Good. And be careful not to dine with John Adams. Between the fish and the souffle, you'll find yourself hanging from an English rope. Your servant, sir.
Oh, forgive me, Judge Wilson, but how can anyone see you if you insist in standing in Mr. Dickinson's shadow? Mr. James Wilson, also of Pennsylvania.
An honor, sir.
Sir.
Good morning, good morning, good morning all.
Do you have the honor of being president?
Yes, I have that honor. Unfortunately, the gout accompanies the honor.
I've been living too high on the hog there, eh, Pappy?
Oh, Stephen, I only wish King George felt like my big toe all over.
Yeah! Let's just go for Dr. Franklin here and 2 more mugs of rum.
Frank! Frank! Where's that idiot lead? Is he back yet?
I don't see him.
Softly, John. Your voice is hurting my foot.
One more thing, Franklin. Natural on our way from a minute farther. That strutting pocket is so damn sure of himself. It's time to bring back dozens of bullets right now.
Tell me, James, how do you explain the strange monumental quietude the Congress has been treated to these past 30 days? Has the ill wind of independence finally blown itself out?
If you ask me...
Well, for myself, I must confess that a month free from New England noise is more therapeutic than a month in the country. Don't you agree, James?
Well,
Pray, Mr. Adams, look for your voice, sir. It cannot be far, and God knows we need the entertainment in this Congress.
Congratulations, John. You just made your greatest contribution to independence. You kept your flap shut.
One more day, Franklin.
Gentlemen, the usual morning festivities having concluded, I will now call the Congress to order. Mr. Thompson.
The Second Continental Congress meeting in the city of Philadelphia, 7 June 1706, is now in session. The 380th meeting.
Jesus!
The Honorable John Hancock of Massachusetts Bay, President.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Mr. McNair, the stores of rum and other drinking spirits are hereby closed to the colony of Rhode Island for a period of 3 days.
Yes, sir!
Johnny, you can't do that!
You've abused the privilege, Mr. Hopkins. The chair takes this opportunity to welcome Dr. Lyman Hall of Georgia to this Congress and hopes he makes the best of it. My God, it's hot. The secretary will call the roll.
All members present with the following exceptions. Mr. Charles Carroll of Maryland, Mr. Samuel Adams of Massachusetts, Mr. Buckman Gwinnett of Georgia, Mr. George White and Mr. Richard Henry Lee of Virginia, and the entire delegation of New Jersey.
I'm concerned over the continued absence of 1/13 of this Congress. Where is New Jersey?
Somewhere between New York and Pennsylvania.
Thank you very much. Dr. Franklin, have you heard anything? Your son resides there?
Son, sir, what son?
The Royal Governor of New Jersey, sir.
As that title might suggest, sir, we are not in touch at the present time.
Yes. Very well. The weather report. Mr. Jefferson of Virginia. Mr. Jefferson.
Present, sir.
May we hear about the weather, as if it weren't speaking for itself.
87 degrees of temperature, 30.06 inches of mercury, wind from the southwest for the rest of the day, and tonight I'm leaving for home.
On business.
Family business.
Oh, you give her a good one for me, young feller.
Yes, sir. I will.
From the Commander, Army of the United Colonies in New York, dispatch number 1137.
Sweet Jesus!
To the Honorable Congress, John Hancock, President, dear sir. It is with grave apprehension that I have learned this day of the sailing from Halifax, Nova Scotia, of a considerable force of British troops in the company of foreign mercenaries and under the command of General Sir William Howe. There can be no doubt that their destination is New York, where to take and hold the city and the Hudson Valley beyond, which serve to separate New England from the other colonies, permitting both sections to be crushed in turn. Sadly, I see no way of stopping him at the present time, as my army is absolutely falling apart. My military chest is totally exhausted. My commissary general has strained his credit to the last. My quartermaster has no food, no arms, no ammunition, and my troops are in a state of near mutiny. I pray God some relief arise before the Armada, but fear it will not. Your obedient, G. Washington.
Mr. President,
Colonel McKee.
surely we've managed to promote the gloomiest man on the continent to lead our troops. Those dispatches have to be the most depressing accumulation of disaster, doom, and despair in the entire annals of military history. And furthermore, I would like to add...
Please, Colonel McKee.
What?
It's too hot.
Oh, yes, I suppose so.
General Washington will continue wording his dispatches as he sees fit, and I'm sure we all hope that he finds happier thoughts today Here.
Sweet Jesus!
Mr. Thompson, are there any resolutions?
Dr. Josiah Buckman, New Hampshire.
Resolved that for the duration of the present hostilities, the Congress discourage every type of extravagance and dissipation, elaborate funerals, and other expensive diversions, especially all horse racing.
Benji! Hold back, Johnny! Oh, Richard, we're pleased to see ya.
What news, Dickie boy? What news?
Lee, is it Doc?
First things first, huh? Your little bride wants to know.
What?
When's he coming home?
I leave tonight.
Never mind that, Lee. Is it done?
Done? Why, first time leave. Mr. President, I return from Virginia with the following resolution. Resolved that these United Colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connections between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved.
Mr. President, I second the resolution.
The resolution has been proposed and seconded. The chair will now entertain debate.
Mr. President, Pennsylvania moves, as always, that the question of independence be postponed indefinitely.
I second the motion.
Judge Wilson, in your eagerness to be loved, you seem to have forgotten that Pennsylvania cannot second its own motion.
You would, you little weasel.
Motion to postpone has been moved and seconded. Mr. Thompson.
On the motion to postpone indefinitely the resolution on independency or to proceed with debate, all those in favor of debate signify by saying yea. All those for postponement signify by saying nay. New Hampshire.
New Hampshire favors debate and says yea.
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, having borne the brunt of the king's tyranny, that's why I said tyranny! Massachusetts now, for all time, says yea.
Massachusetts says yea. Rhode Island. Rhode Island. Mr. Hopkins, where's Rhode Island?
Rhode Island is out visiting the necessary.
After what Rhode Island's consumed, I can't say I'm surprised. We'll come back to him, Mr. Thompson.
Rhode Island passes. Connecticut.
Well, Connecticut has till now been against this proposal. The legislature has instructed me that in the event it were proposed by any colony outside of New England, we could no longer withhold our support. Connecticut says yea.
Connecticut says yea. New York.
Mr. Secretary, New York abstains courteously.
New York abstains.
Courteously.
New Jersey.
Absent, Mr. Secretary.
Oh, yes, New Jersey's absent. Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, for the 24th time, says nay.
Pennsylvania says nay. Delaware.
Delaware, ever for independence, says yea.
Delaware says yea. Maryland.
Maryland would welcome independence if it were offered, but is highly skeptical that it can be taken. Maryland says nay.
Maryland says nay. Virginia.
Virginia, the first colony, says yea.
Virginia says yea. North Carolina.
North Carolina respectfully yields to South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Mr. President, although we in South Carolina have never seriously considered the question of independence, but when a gentleman proposes it, attention must be paid. However, we in the Deep South, unlike our friends in New England, have no cause for such impatience at the present time. But if it be, at some future date it becomes the wish of all our sister colonies to effect a separation, we won't stand in the way. But for the time being, South Carolina will wait and watch. The vote is nay.
North Carolina says nay.
North Carolina
Says nay. Yes, Mr. Hughes, I know.
Georgia. Georgia?
Mr. Secretary, Georgia seems to be split down the middle on the issue. People are against it, and I'm for it. I'm afraid I'm not yet certain whether being a representative of the people means relying on their judgment or my own. So in all fairness, until I'm able to figure it out, I'm going to have to lean on their side. Georgia says nay.
Rhode Island. Second call, Rhode Island.
I'm coming. Hold your damn horses.
We're waiting on you, Mr. Hopkins.
Well, that won't kill ya. You know, you'd think Congress would have its own pisser. All right, so where do we stand?
5 in favor of debate, 5 for postponement. 1 abstention and 1 absence.
Ah, so it's up to me, is it? Well, I'll tell you, in all my years, I never seen, heard, or smelled anything that was so dangerous that it couldn't be talked about. Hell yeah, I'm for debating anything. Rhode Island says yay.
McNair, get Mr. Hopkins a rub. What? Oh, get him the whole damn barrel if he wants it.
Yes, sir.
The chair now declares this Congress to be a committee of the whole for the purpose of debating Virginia's resolution on independence. Mr. Dickinson.
Well now, you have your way at last, Mr. Adams. The matter may now be discussed. I must confess, I'm almost relieved. There's a question I've been fairly itching to ask you. Why?
Why what, Mr. Dickinson?
Well, why independence, Mr. Adams?
For the obvious reason that our continued association with Great Britain has grown intolerable.
Oh, to whom, Mr. Adams? To you? Then I suggest you sever your ties immediately. But please be kind enough to leave the rest of us where we are. For myself, I have no objections at all to being part of the greatest empire on earth. To enjoying its protections and sharing its benefits.
Benefits? What benefits? Crippling taxes? Cool repressions? Abolished rights?
Is that all England means to you, sir? Is that all the pride and affection you can muster for the nation that bore you? For the noblest, most civilized nation on the face of the planet? Why, would you have us forsake Hastings and Magna Carta, Strongbow and Lionheart, Drake and Marlborough, Stuarts, Tudors and Plantagenets? And for what, sir? Tell me, for what? For you? Some men are patriots like General Washington, and some are anarchists like Mr. Payne. Some are even internationalists like Dr. Franklin here, but you are merely an agitator, disturbing the peace, creating disorder, endangering the public welfare. And all for what? Your petty little personal complaints. Your taxes are too high. Well, sir, so am I. Come, Mr. Adams. If you have grievances, and I'm sure you have, our present system must provide a gentler means of redressing them short of revolution! Yes, that's what he wants. Nothing less will satisfy him. Violence! Rebellion! Treason! Then, Mr. Adams, are these the acts of Englishmen?
Not Englishmen, Dickinson. American.
No, sir! Englishmen!